In July 2021, Corruption Watch received tip-offs about the intention of some schools and individuals to perpetrate examination malpractice during the 2021 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASSCE. Consequently, in September, Corruption Watch investigative journalist Frederick Esiama set out to investigate the potential examination malpractices, paying special attention to orchestrated efforts by some school authorities to assist candidates to cheat at examination halls. How about the leakage of some of the question papers and the role of racketeers in the whole scheme? Come along as Frederick Esiama tells the shocking true story of how some senior high school authorities assisted students to cheat in the 2021 West African Senior School Certificate Examination. Before the 2021 WASSCE, there were clear indications that malpractices were going to move a notch higher, as some school authorities were prepared to facilitate examination malpractices in their schools. In the course of the examination, WAEC confirmed that it was aware of some of the school-based schemes. Here is George Ohinemante, head of the Test Administration Division of WAEC.
The following schools, in respect of which papers were received on intent to cheat, are being closely monitored and evidence to validate the claims. Then the schools are Ejisu Senior High Technical School located at Ejisu, and Law Afianegba Senior High School at Afianegba, Tepa Senior High School at Tepa, Yeji Senior High Technical School at Yeji, King David College at Somenya, Adu College Sunyani, Christ the King Senior High School of WASSCE, Modern Senior High School Pong, and another Modern Senior High School at Kintampo, Oyoko Methodist Senior High School, Glo Agogo Senior High School.
By the time WAEC put out the list of 11 schools which were allegedly planning to cheat, Corruption Watch was already monitoring the conduct of the examinations in 4 other schools, which WAEC did not include in their list across the Ashanti and Bono regions. However, it was in the Bono region where our cameras and audio devices captured moments in 2 schools where some authorities assisted students to cheat in examination halls. Corruption Watch discovered syndicated schemes for cheating before and during the WASSCE at All for Christ Senior High Technical School and Duadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School. The schools are located about 90 kilometers apart, but they employed similar strategies to assist their candidates to cheat, especially during the conduct of core subjects. All for Christ Senior High Technical School is a popular private second cycle institution located at Kato, a suburb of Brekum, whereas Duadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School is a state-funded institution located at Duadaso No. 1, a cashew-growing community near Sampa. Regarding pre-WASSCE arrangements for cheating, our investigations revealed both schools admitted students who should otherwise register as private candidates for a fee. In the case of All for Christ Senior High Technical School, authorities charged the students about 250 Ghana cedis in return for unearned continuous assessment marks in order to process them as school candidates for WASSCE. For the purpose of this investigation, a Corruption Watch agent called the headmaster of All for Christ Senior High Technical School, Mr. Usu Jasi, to inquire about the conditions for admission into 3rd year. This was what transpired.
I want to make inquiries about writing.
WASSCE.
Yes, please.
Alright, initially when you come here, you pay for continuous assessment, put 2.5.
Continuous assessment.
2.5.
As in 250 CDs.
Yes. Are you going to be a day or border?
The issue is I'm working.
Sign for day. And the day school fees is 4.1. Boarding is 5.1.
And then the main reason why I am interested is that I've written my maths several times and it's still not working.
Yeah. It is going to be a last stop for you.
Okay, I am praying so.
So the continuous assessment helps the student to pass. Every exam you take is marked over 70. The 30% is in the school. And for this 30%, the lowest mark we have range is 25 or 30, 27, 28, 29 could be a classwork. We use the big numbers for the difficult subjects. And as you are a day student, you only buy the school uniform. When it is time for you to write the WASSCE, then you put it on.
Do I need to always come for classes? Because it will be difficult to get permission from my boss.
You beg your boss to come down here and sign. One day will do. Then when it is the time for writing the WASSCE, then you come in.
So, Mr. Owusu, please, are you the headmaster?
I'm the headmaster.
At Duadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School, popularly known as DuHigh, some school authorities laid the foundation for assisting students to cheat at the beginning of the academic year. By February 2021, these school authorities had directed that final year students should pay a sum of 300 Ghana cedis. Corruption Watch intercepted copies of bank pay-in slips indicating that the students paid a sum of 300 Ghana cedis into an account that the school has with the Duadaso No. 1 agency of the Bono Ahafo Catholic Cooperative Society for Development, WASSCE Limited. Another pay-in slip in the possession of Corruption Watch indicate that a separate category of students paid 2,400 Ghana cedis into the same account that the school holds with WASSCE Limited. In addition, a receipt in possession of Corruption Watch shows the payment of 2,600 Ghana cedis directly to the school's account office. Corruption Watch sources say the payment of the 2,400 Ghana cedis and 2,600 Ghana cedis were by students that the school admitted into third year for a fee without the approval of the Ghana Education Service. To confirm the allegation of unapproved admissions to year 3, a Corruption Watch agent called a number advertised on the Facebook page of DuHigh. We found out that the number belongs to Emmanuel Pe, the senior housemaster of the school. Emmanuel Pe spelled out the terms and conditions for midstream admissions when our agent called to feign interest in securing admission to the school. He told our potential student to prepare to pay about 3,000 Ghana cedis, inclusive of hostel fees.
I am a worker, but I want to go further my education. So I decided to contact you to find out how you can help me join the school. And then I want to know if I can join like as a third year student.
Yeah, it may be possible, but as now, no, I can't give you 100% answer that yes. Now what I would do is that you call me back somewhere in January.
January.
The session will start somewhere January, February, thereabout.
Oh.
So what you need to do is that, which course, please?
Oh, I want to do my maths and science. So I'm a general arts student actually.
You know, you can't do just 2 subjects. All you need to do is that you register as a candidate. You know, school candidate, you can register some course.
Yeah, sure. I'll do everything. No problem.
So you do everything.
Okay.
And when the time is due, maybe if you are able to, we are very sure that you pass everything correctly.
Okay,
So
so
you'll be preparing around 3,000 Ghana.
3,000
Well,
cedis.
Yes, last year or this year they paid 2,600.
Okay, so plus or minus 3,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So would I need to buy uniforms, or it's all part of the 3,000 I should be preparing?
If it becomes possible that you can be registered here, everything is inclusive. The uniform is part of it.
Okay, alright. And would I buy books or?
Yes, for that one, for sure you have to buy. Will be giving you is maybe the uniform, and that one will give you only one, because what I've seen is that you will not be a regular student.
Yeah.
You wait, and the exams, the date is about a week's time, and then you come and then join your college.
Please say your name.
My name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yes, I'm the senior housemaster.
Back at the All for Christ Senior High Technical School, our team established that the authorities in question set up several platforms on social media through which they circulated solutions to examination questions. This enabled invigilators to pass answers to the examination questions to candidates while examinations were in progress. The biggest of these cheating platforms set up by the school for invigilators is a WhatsApp page known as the Integrity Vibes. This page had over 80 participants, including this Corruption Watch investigator. They also used the page to inform invigilators about news and alerts from WASSCE and other organizations such as the Africa Education Watch. On Wednesday, September 15, 2021, participants on the page took keen interest in the WASSCE update that announced the rescheduling of papers of 2 courses and the listing of 11 schools for close monitoring. Later that day, one participant shared a voice note that discouraged teachers and students from answering questions posed by journalists who come probing into more practices.
As at now, one thing you should know is that the media will start to ask questions. They will come to the schools. This is what you have to do. Never answer any question to any media. Do not conform to them. Do not make yourself available to answer any question. If you are being asked, tell them you have no idea. Did the paper leak? You don't know. All I want you to do now is just keep quiet, because the more you talk, the more you make the issue worse.
The first core papers that candidates wrote were English Language 2 and 1 papers, that is, the essay and objective papers, which were written on Monday, September 13, 2021. We captured some authorities of both All for Christ Senior High Technical School and Do High assistant candidates to answer questions. At Do High, candidates paid an unspecified amount of money before the start of the papers. A female student was assigned the responsibility of collecting the unspecified amount of money before the start of the English Language Paper 2 at 8:30 a.m. In return, candidates were allowed to share ideas. Moreover, teachers and invigilators assisted the candidates to answer questions in the comprehension and summary sections of English Language Paper 2. There was prior information to students that they had to make arrangements on their own for the essay section of the English Language Paper 2. This was the school's strategy for avoiding the detection of mass cheating. However, a female student did not follow instructions to hand over all extraneous materials after usage. She consequently implicated Maxwell Ama, a science tutor of the school, as the source of the material. A commotion followed.
They will betray you if they are caught. Most of the American, Jimmy said, "What was here?" The president told me that
any way that I will bless somehow that
There was more help when the candidates sat for the English language paper 1. Their invigilator was generous once more. In this instance, he dictates to the candidate the answers for the questions in paper 1 or objective paper. He starts with the first 30 questions. At All for Christ Senior High Technical School, school administrator Mr. Atajiman coordinated all activities in place to assist students in examination halls. He also held several meetings with invigilators to explain the school's arrangement for assisting the candidates without being detected by WASSCE external supervisors.
We have 9 assistant yes, but we can only use the supervisor. Because of the bank community, lots of people are moving in and out, and also some of the places and you be on the best system. But apart from that, they say for back and after you put the back somewhere. What did I mention? A back what lose we are go beyond what I said. Information and pass information to a mobile. Why the one was on there by and cancel. Phone grab on phone call, who be sending pan already phone club, and I'm a phone number. Until you ain't done any material. Because we are warrior, we got the experience. Over before you show my view of Christ. You can be a video. No, I watch over what was saying.
Mr. Atajiman held one of the most important meetings with invigilators at the assembly hall of the school. It started at about 7:20 a.m. on the morning of Monday, September 20, 2021, before the commencement of General or Core Mathematics, Papers 2 and 1. He had wanted to hold this meeting in the afternoon of the previous day. One of the reasons for the meeting was that he had lost his phone and did not want his social media conversations, including content on the Integrity Vibes page, to fall into wrong hands. He told invigilators that WASSCE supervisors from the national level were likely to visit the school, hence the need to be careful. He said that, following the laws of his phone, he traveled to Kumasi that weekend to meet his WASSCE contacts. However, he could not reach the big man in Accra.
Now my phone was stolen on last Friday, and because of that, it's been a hectic for me to be able to reach those people. With the big men out there, I'm not getting them. By any proof, I've done my part. Because of the phone, I have to travel from what you do is that you move. So please, I beg, let's try as much as possible to protect ourselves first, especially with the mobile phone. On a more serious note, last day we had time to go for it to with the snow. You can't go before in the European Obama. So don't be informed because in the real last year there was no teacher. It's a year before. You see what you do. You need your prayer, not home. In money, in who is so weird to a and now if you are walking, Yes, yeah, it doesn't mean say I want to
After the morning briefing, the team of invigilators led by Mr. Atah Ajaman and a supervisor, together with 9 assistant supervisors, swung into action. The work of Mr. Atah Ajaman and his team was clearly cut out for them by the time the General Mathematics Paper 2 commenced at 8:30 in the morning. The 2.5-hour paper was scheduled to end at 11 o'clock in the morning, and as per the cheating scheme devised by the school, subject teachers were on standby to answer the examination questions for candidates. Between 8:54 and 10:37, Mr. Atah Ajaman circulated the answers to the examination questions onto the Integrity Vibes WhatsApp page for invigilators to transmit same to the candidates. Our cameras captured various invigilators as they wrote the answers to the questions on whiteboards for students to copy. Other invigilators who could not access the answers through the WhatsApp page were seen going to other examination halls to take snapshots. Later that day, some participants on the Integrity Vibes WhatsApp page exited in line with communication that the page would be collapsed because of the loss of the mobile phone belonging to Mr. Atah Ajaman. Those who failed to exit the page voluntarily were removed in line with Mr. Atah Ajaman's instructions. Administrators later formed a new general page which had less than 50 participants. The failure of many invigilators to get onto the jobless page infuriated Mr. Atah Ajaman. Thus, he interpreted it as an unwillingness to cooperate with him to advance the interests of the school.
One question, now one person. Now would you do out in market? Now, members from a better marker, Eddie and Blow. Massa, it's one hour one, who is our work. You are not helping. You are not helping. You cannot watch you make sure obey your word, man. Obey your word, man. And you live here. I'm watching Slav, when I do my suicide for running. That's to get an idea of woman. Money no Musa, we have a corner. Nothing. I am away. Me won't. I will do. You will move back your one. What's a mark? Some of our own bargain, right? A bargain at work. Eh? When you read that now, and as a when you be a year to manage the kind of one far. What's the between that? I say 10 minutes and no more. You should know minimum, but minimum the mayor. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. It is a Kamutia, Kamuni problem. Group guy creating here. I will dissolve here up to now, and they are not ready because they are not ready to assist.
In the 10 days that followed the writing of the General Mathematics paper, candidates of All for Christ Senior High Technical School sat for papers in 4 elective subjects. These were government, economics, Christian religious studies, and geography. During these papers, the trend continued. Answers to questions were shared on the newly created Jobless platform for invigilators to transmit to candidates. However, a couple of times, external supervisors and security operatives, other than the assigned police officer, busted some of the invigilators for in-hall examination malpractice. As Ajaman reviewed in another meeting with the invigilators, he was able to intervene for the release of these officers. However, he threatened to sacrifice whoever allowed themselves to be caught subsequently.
I'm watching everybody to play and mirror. They say, and if I have to be, I will satisfy them before I do, but they are working. One will be around my face in the I've seen it. And now, boy, it was better. It was better. Cannot come to that book. And who is here at that time? On the end of the kind of way we now have everybody. I don't have to tell you. Can say, I will let them take you to a class. Boy, that's what I want to say. Don't listen. No, you hear your best. You hear your best. And then, And then there were 9 assistant supervisors. 9 assistant supervisors. We are working job. And there's no point and they will say the man is coming. Asa, I'm not before someone else. Guy, what? I say, if they see something, they can't close their eyes. Because they sworn an oath for it. They can't close their eyes. And Jimmy, when I say, Mukasa, or say, wait now. Also, Okawa, or Nukwa, or what? The bar, William. But most more 9 assistant supervisors. Now, that's it. I have one from here. I tell you, do your own thing. Because I'm not marketing. And so what? Go back to what you said. Because now, almost the integrity is at stake. Go for the summer. Now we get the food in the hall. Applying mobile to a big girl. What's the own carry? What's your plan on family? What do you mean by that? I'm not telling you, I'm worried. They say, well, I'll let them use you as a scapegoat. So that's what they call it.
As the situation became dire, the proprietor of the All for Christ Senior High Technical School, Apostle Emmanuel Joe Yanchere, stepped in to have a meeting with teachers and invigilators in the staff common room on September 22, 2021. He told them to be careful because news about their activities was all over in town.
All this formation is going up. Maybe I'll feel my own to your target. I need to come in my hand plan. No, we are in the case as a man catch a feeling. After this car, to go catch a good target about only so. Oh, one man, never man. After that, we are not one. No money will get in now. We are making a person be able to push it to saving country. Why ever chose a young fool? One can say, meeting everyone. Let's say, why have you found the way to just many after it? It's no money now. Well, you could buy Bibia Mokadia, motivation for more class at 20 in Sylvia. I think you be.
Corruption Watch wrote to the headmasters of the All for Christ Senior High Technical School and Biadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School for their respective explanations of the occurrences surrounding the conduct of the 2021 WASSCE in their schools. Consequently, we received successive phone calls from the administrator of All for Christ Senior High Technical School, Mr. Atajiman, and the proprietor of the same school, Apostle Emmanuel Joe Yanchere. Both pleaded with Corruption Watch to consider the welfare of students when putting out this investigative work. Subsequently, on Monday, November 8, 2021, Corruption Watch received the school's official response contained in a letter signed by the headmaster of All for Christ Senior High Technical School, Mr. Osu Jasi. The 2-page letter said in part that the school authorities needed time to carry out their own investigations into the allegations. On the other hand, the school partly denied that they charged fees for continuous assessment marks. We read for you the school's reaction.
Sir, I was very shocked to receive the letter with the information contained therein. As the headmaster of the school, I can only firmly assure you that I will carry out my own investigations into the issues raised to ascertain the truth or otherwise of the allegations. Sir, on the issue of unqualified students who should otherwise have to write as private candidates, I can confidently say that I was misrepresented by your reporter, but I don't blame him because time did not allow me to give adequate explanation to him on the matter. Indeed, charges of admission fees include a component for assessment through quizzes, class tests, class exercises, assignments, mock and end-of-term examinations for students who are admitted into the second-year class to be able to get adequate continuous assessment scores, which is part of the scoring for the examination. And if you work hard, you can get 25 or all the 30 marks allotted for continuous assessment. I was not in any way suggesting to him that as soon as you are admitted, you get 25 or 30 as continuous assessment. On the issue of the administrator coordinating all activities put in place to assist students cheat in examinations. I would indeed appreciate if you could provide us with additional information in order to carry out a thorough investigations to unravel the allegation. On the issue of invigilators taking money, writing on chalkboard, dictating answers, and distributing photocopied materials. Indeed, the school do not have any record of engaging in examination malpractices. Sir, my request for additional information from you to enable us carry out an investigations do not in any way suggest that the work you did was not credible.
The headmaster of Diadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School, Mr. Peterson Anin, upon receiving a letter from Corruption Watch, called back on Wednesday, November 3, 2021, to indicate that he would investigate the alleged incidents, put together a response, and forward it to Corruption Watch. In spite of the several follow-up calls, Mr. Peterson Anin did not fulfill his promise. Later on Monday, November 22, 2021, Assistant Headmaster in charge of Academic Affairs, Abdullah Umar, informed Corruption Watch that the headmaster was ill and would respond when he recovers. On October 20, 2021, Corruption Watch contacted both the Ghana Education Service and WASSCE about the findings of this investigation. The Ghana Education Service did not respond to us despite at least 4 follow-up phone calls. In the case of WASSCE, Corruption Watch submitted a second letter at the request of the Council on November 15, 2021. Subsequently, on December 6, 2021, the head of public affairs at WASSCE, Agnes Tekujo, gave an interview to Corruption Watch. She corroborated Corruption Watch's findings against All for Christ Senior High Technical School.
And with All for Christ, I think that our investigative team that was on the ground, even they were at the center and they reported some incidents of malpractice. So we have reports on malpractices that occurred at All for Christ. With Diadaso, I don't have anything in front of me now, but I believe that anything that may have come up during the marking, we have a process that we call scrutiny of scripts. So if anything came up during marking, then the scripts will be scrutinized and the appropriate sanctions applied after all investigations have been completed.
So with All for Christ, in their specific case, what are you really looking at when you say some malpractice?
I think the reports that we received from our team on the ground indicated that there was cases of institutionalized examination malpractice in the school, and also some candidates who had mobile phones on them and all that. So those are some of the reports that we received.
WASSCE confirms that more schools than All for Christ Senior High Technical School and Diadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School have some school authorities assisting some candidates to perpetrate examination malpractice during the 2021 WASSCE for school candidates. Available data shows that some candidates have been engaging in examination malpractices over the years. For instance, in 2018, WASSCE withheld the entire results of 26,434 candidates due to various cases of examination malpractices detected during and after the conduct of the 2018 WASSCE for school candidates. In 2019, WASSCE further withheld the entire results of 48,855 candidates, whereas in 2020, the Council cancelled subject results of 2,383 candidates for engaging in collusion, bringing foreign materials to the examination hall and tearing part of their question papers to solicit assistance. The head of public affairs at WASSCE, Agnes Nokote Kujo, disclosed to Corruption Watch that over the period 2018 to 2020, the rate of result cancellation has risen as high as 2.5%.
We can speak of malpractices from maybe 2018 to 2020 because we have statistics. Everything has been done. We have the statistics on that.
But how is the trend for, say, 2018 to 2020?
Well, 2018, it's fluctuating. 2018, out of the total number of candidates who sat for the exam, we had 0.88% of the candidates whose results were cancelled or who engaged in malpractice. 2019 was 2.58% and 2020 1.84%. So that's why I said it's fluctuating, because 2019 was higher than 2018, and 2020 there was a decrease. So 2021 we are still working. We have still working on the malpractices that we received from our inspectors, from collusion that was detected in scripts. Committees are still working, so we'll be able to come up with a final figure when all these things have been done.
The Africa Education Watch monitored the 2021 WASSCE in about 50 schools at the same time that Corruption Watch undertook this investigation. The Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Mr. Kofi Asare, is of the view that examination malpractice has actually evolved into a whole business industry.
There is evidence of institutionalized cheating. Why I use the word institutionalized cheating, which is a grand collusion between students on one part, invigilators, external supervisors, security officials, and school authorities to cheat. That is why examination malpractice today is a big issue in the quality of pretentious assessment in Ghana. But let me indicate that it has gone beyond examination malpractice to the levels that even WAEC calls examination fraud. We have reached the point where we have an industry that has emerged from the security breaches in WAEC's questions supply chain. And this multi-million industry, according to WAEC themselves, has now become a fraudulent business, which is growing with the aid of internet and social media and mobile phone penetration in our society. So we've moved from examination malpractices to examination fraud, involving stakeholders and actors, both in and around the school environment and outside the school environment. So the driver is actually profit, not just delinquency.
As alluded to earlier, the other aspect of this Corruption Watch investigation was to probe the operation of racketeers who made question papers available to students on social media platforms several hours before examinations took place. In this leg of the investigation, which was not school-based, we identified and signed onto 3 platforms on the Telegram app. These were Legit WASSCE, which had over 67,000 subscribers, Grandmaster, now known as Social Zone GH, with more than 1,500 patrons, and Hot Stage, with more than 18,000 subscribers. We found that anyone could join these groups free of charge through a link. On these pages, they advertised VIP services. This was mainly for buying question papers of upcoming subjects well in advance. Failure to pay means receiving questions free of charge on the platforms, but usually 1 hour or less before the writing of that paper. In the case of English language, Corruption Watch undercover agents paid a total of 140 cedis to the Hot Stage WASSCE platform through one Peter Akotia and 100 cedis to WASSCE VIP 2021 page through one Albert Ofosu Wiafi. The said Peter Akotia's Hot Stage WASSCE posted the purported questions for the English paper by 12:34 a.m. on Monday, September 13, 2021. This was about 8 clear hours before the start of the English paper 2 at 8:30 that same morning. 2 days later, WAEC confirmed that some of the questions circulated for English language paper 2 were the actual questions.
Of social media cartels, that is rogue websites, WhatsApp, Telegram groups, are in full force with several versions of the questions being circulated on social media platforms. Some of the groups are Ruth, Jerusalem, Eminent Link, Mr. Robert, Success Room, Mr. Ayupak, Brotherhood, and White Secret Helper. Our investigative team is tracking these websites or WhatsApp groups and has discovered their modus operandi, which include posting of actual questions on paid or for groups after receipt and opening of question paper packets at the center, solving of questions and posting of solutions on WhatsApp groups. With the passing of the Cybersecurity Act 2020 at 1036, the prosecution of operatives of these fraudulent groups will be facilitated. The cheating social media groups were in full swing prior to the conduct of the mathematics elective and English language papers on 9th and 13th September 2021 respectively. The Council's monitoring revealed the circulation of numerous versions of questions, both printed and handwritten, on most of the groups referred to earlier. After the administration of the test, careful scrutiny of the several versions received indicates extracts of parts of the questions for Mathematics Elective 2 and Section A of English Language 2 were circulated on social media platforms. Reports from initial investigations and further information received indicate that the circulation was not extensive. Additionally, the Council will deploy various internationally accepted assessment procedures and interventions within its domain to guarantee the credibility of results. Consequently, those found culpable will be sanctioned.
Besides prosecuting alleged culprits, WAEC has the authority to sanction educational institutions, school authorities, and invigilators for their respective roles in examination malpractices, including cases of mass cheating. According to WAEC's sanctions regime put in place for WASSCE 2016 onwards, where WAEC identifies mass cheating, the culpable school shall be recognized for a period of not less than 1 year. In addition, the school concerned shall pay prescribed extra fees for the supervision and invigilation of the examination before the paper begins. Head of Public Affairs at WAEC, Agnes Norkote Kujo, says supervisors and invigilators could also face lifetime bans from WAEC duties.
The processes is that after we have, you go to a center or even during marking where we detect that there has been mass cheating. All the reports, investigations are done, all reports are done, and it's taken to the Ghana Examinations Committee. So we present our reports and they give us the approval to derecognize the center. The recognition of a center means that the center number is taken from the school. So the school will no longer be able to write. They don't have a center number. So we would move the candidates to go and write the examination at another center. So that is what the process is.
What happens to all the individuals, the students and the school administrators and all that?
So that is for the upcoming exam. Now, with candidates who are found to have engaged in malpractice, we have the necessary rules. One, depending on what you do, you can also have either your subject results cancelled or your entire results cancelled, or you could be barred. You can have your entire results cancelled and you could be barred as well. Then with the invigilators and supervisors, those who are staff of the Ghana Education Service, we write a report and then report them to the GS because we cannot take action against them. What we can do is that we blacklist them from taking part in any of the council's activities. So if you are an examiner, we don't allow you to take part in any of our processes or any other thing that you may do for us. You cannot do any invigilation, you cannot be a supervisor. We just blacklist you totally from all our engaging in any of the council's activities.
And that's for how long?
Blacklist for life. So we blacklist you and you cannot do anything for us again.
Meanwhile, WAEC has issued its first set of sanctions to some of the candidates who sat for the WASSCE for school candidates in 2021. In a December 8, 2021 statement announcing the release of provisional results of candidates, WAEC said it had cancelled a total of 1,339 subject results and 174 entire results of candidates. According to WAEC, these candidates engaged in various examination malpractices, such as bringing foreign material, including mobile phones, into the examination hall, tearing off parts of question papers, and collusion. In addition, WAEC has withheld the entire results of 3,667 candidates pending the conclusion of investigations into various cases of examination malpractices detected during and after the conduct of the examination. Furthermore, WAEC has withheld the scripts of candidates from 194 schools in certain subjects for scrutiny. In the opinion of the chairperson of the NCCE, Ms. Josephine Nkrumah, authorities should carry out real enforcement of the law, including closing down schools which are culpable.
Whoever, school authorities who, there is evidence to support that they were actually involved in this, they must face the full rigors of the law. They should not be allowed to go scot-free, because it's not just the act and the immediate effect of the act that we should be looking at. We should be looking at the ripple effect of the act and realize that it costs much more than just even the cost of the exam. So I think there should be full-scale investigation, and it should be made very public. And so it sends a strong warning to people, because if we don't do that, eventually what we have is an army waiting to happen, an untrained army for that matter. We need to take the bull by the horns and carry out real enforcement of law and make spectacle of persons who are engaged in this. We need to be bold when we have the evidence to suggest that any school was involved to even close down the school, and send that as a clear sign that it will not be tolerated.
As a way forward, Head of Public Affairs at WAEC, Agnes Tekujo, says the Council is considering the implementation of various interventions that are aimed at reducing human involvement in the question paper production value chain.
We have considered for implementation various interventions aimed at reducing human involvement in the question paper production value chain. And that includes retooling the Council's serialization, using of parallel tests, and making use of variable data printing, among others. If you maybe followed the BEC, conduct of the BEC, you will notice that we implemented something new, that we piloted something new, and we'll be looking towards that direction. That is, we had some serialization of the objective tests, and we'll be going more into that in the future.
In any case, the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Mr. Kofi Asare, believes that the time is ripe for carrying out reforms at WAEC to clean and restore the integrity of the WASSCE.
We are having constructive engagement with people who have a responsibility to reform WAEC. WAEC cannot reform itself. We have always said that. As I always keep saying, the challenges we are discussing today, it's not about WAEC suddenly becoming so bad. No, WAEC is a credible institution, and I keep saying that they're a credible institution. But they have challenges because they were overtaken by technology. In all this, WAEC is a contractor in Ghana, contracted by the Ministry of Education to undertake assessment for Ghanaian students. Whatever is happening is partly because there is no regulator. There are no standards being set by an external agency. WAEC is setting its own internal standards, appraising itself internally, clearing itself. It's a referee, a coach, and a footballer. It is never at fault. So it is only the Ministry of Education that has that mandate. And it is a very, very tricky issue, especially where you find that the Ministry of Education, GES, are represented on the WAEC board. So we are of the opinion that as part of the reforms, one of the first things we need to do is to remove GES from the board of WAEC. We think it amounts to conflicting interests. It's a conflict of interest. Because the Director General of GES's job is to prepare students at the tertiary level for assessment. The litmus, the test of the outcome of his work is WAEC WASSCE results. So WAEC is the assessor of the Director General of GES because his KPIs include WASSCE pass rates. In fact, it does not include, it's the most important KPI so far as his delivery at the secondary education level is concerned.
The chairperson of the NCCE, Ms. Josephine Nkrumah, concludes that the reforms must include a national conversation around the country's value system because the high incidence of examination malpractices boils down to the breakdown in the value system of the Ghanaian society.
I think we need a national conversation that does not look at the negatives, but beyond looking at it, we must find a serious national intervention to rein in the effects of this poor value system. The very fundamentals of our character is flawed. We've lost our value system. So there's a larger question to answer that goes beyond examination malpractice, but it's also just finding expression in examination malpractice, and for that matter, our educational system. Typically, we're talking about malpractice, we're talking about corruption, we're talking about indiscipline and all of those things. But what does it boil down to? It boils down to what is the bedrock of our society in terms of the value system that we have. So you can never speak to issues about malpractice or corruption if you haven't dealt with a value system where you are instilling truthfulness, trustworthiness, integrity in an individual.